Welcome everybody. Welcome to Aetherdrift set review. This is, of course, 99% of you know, but just in case, for limited, mainly draft, sealed as well. But sealed is the more important thing about sealed is what you get is what you get. You're not going to have much choice in what you're opening. So every tier list is, I mean, maybe helpful if you don't know what the hell you're doing for sealed, but for like high level sealed, you really want to see what you get. It might be the worst color pair and it might work. So mainly draft is where you want to use it. Yeah. Sorry. Maybe you can tell people about our grays real quick. How does our
I don't have the key anymore. A's are really good, B's are like pretty good, C's are decent, D's are not very good, and F's are bad. Do you have a better descriptor?
Motherfucker. I think everybody knows by this point, but okay, it's just like A's are bombs. This is something I might fight people over on a couple of grades, because A's are just bombs. They just like warp the game around them. They're not just good. They're bombs. B's are like, the more B's you can have, the better your deck is gonna be. Those are amazing cards, under costed, overstated. These are gonna be the bulk of your deck. We have plus and minus because it's very hard to put things in just 5 grades. To put cards in just 5 grades. So like C plus is gonna be, you're very happy if you have a lot of C pluses, but then when you go to C and C minus, it's fine. These cards make your deck, and it's not the end of the world, but they're not anything to write home about. These are what everybody's. The better your pot is, or the worse the variance in opening packs was, the more these you're gonna have in the deck. These are the cards that are either understated, kind of lackluster creatures, or maybe effects that are good, but you don't need a lot of, and you don't need to pick it highly. If you're always gonna play just one card of a certain effect, like maybe +2/+1 to your whole team, you don't need to pick it very quickly, because then every other one that you get is gonna go in the sideboard, and so on. Fs are just, don't play this card. Just don't play this card. It's even if it wins you the game, it's gonna lose you more games than it's gonna win for you. So it's kind of not worth a full card slot. And we can begin the Aetherdrift set review. Now, this is gonna be a little bit of a weird one. Scotty, you know, well, I mean, you know about the vehicles and everything. This is like a vehicle and mount set.
Yeah, I took a look. Vehicles play kind of weird. We haven't had this density of vehicles ever in a set.
Ever.
Yeah, and there's some interesting mechanics and specific abilities throughout the set that make the normal cost of having to tap a creature for a vehicle maybe sometimes mitigated. There's a lot of things that crew vehicles without creatures. There's a lot of vehicles that turn into creatures on their own. So it's a weird one. This is a pretty weird set.
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't think there's a lot of things that crew vehicles without being vehicles, and I don't think there's a lot of things that make vehicles into creatures.
Well, some of the creatures actually make them themselves. Just turn into... I can think of like 3 commons that already transform into creatures on their own.
Oh, 3 common vehicles that transform into creatures?
I think so.
Really?
I think so. Including the blue 2-drop, right?
Are these uncommons or commons?
Or maybe it's an uncommon.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
Well, we can get to it when we get to it.
Alright, we're gonna get to it. So yeah, this is gonna be a little bit harder than the usual tier list, I think, because like there is a problem. It's a vehicle set, okay. Mounts are fine. We just had OTJ again, and the mounts are like, they are always creatures. It's fine. You can mount them. You don't have to. But then vehicles. Oh, let's start talking about vehicles when we get to an actual vehicle, okay? Because it's a lot of discussion there, important discussion there. So, Scotty, you want to lead?
Sure. You want to just start reading?
Yeah.
Scrap Compactor, 1 mana, artifact. 3 and tap it to sacrifice this artifact, deals 3 damage to target creature. 6 and tap, sacrifice this artifact, destroy target creature or vehicle. This is a take on the emergency colorless removal that we see from time to time in the set. This is like a little bit more pushed, because this can actually destroy larger things if you pay an exorbitant amount of mana. I still think you basically never want to run this card unless you're kind of in an emergency situation or you need it from the sideboard. So I would give this a D.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
I mean, there's like a sorry, there's like a slight bonus for being a cheap artifact, right, for affinity stuff, but I still think it's like a D.
Yeah, like for those things that care about artifacts being in play. Yeah, it's like serviceable. Like we can kill something smaller. We had that like what in OTJ actually. No, in Duskmourn, like the 3 damage. Can kill something bigger later, right? So yeah, I'm on a D as well. Like it costs too much for everything, but it's okay. Like it's common. It means that you can get that removal if you really need it. If the set is really slower. So I kind of like that this card exists, but whatever.
Guidelight Matrix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll read all the comments, yeah?
Sure.
Guidelight Matrix, 2 mana for an artifact. When this artifact enters, draw a card. 2 and tap, target mount you control becomes saddled until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. 2 and tap to target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. At common, relatively cheap, replaces itself, but costs mana to mount or turn things into vehicles. I actually think that's a really, really steep cost.
Yep.
So I think normally cantripping cheap artifacts, like a cantripping cheap artifact is appealing in this set. Things that care about artifacts being in the battlefield, things that care about artifacts being played. But I actually think this effect is really bad. You know, if you think about cards like this, like Prophetic Prism, the effect is pretty decent, you know, being able to fix you, being able to smooth out your future plays. But I think this effect is pretty rough. And I will also give this a D. I hope not to. I hope not to be running too many of these.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus. Yeah, cantrip artifact. Yeah, what you said. There is not. Didn't feel to me like there's that many affinity cards. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Doesn't feel like that. Yeah, 2 mana.
There's like 2 blue commons, right? There's like 2 blue commons I can think of off the top of my head. Gear Seeker Serpent and the 5 mana flyer.
Oh, the 5 mana flyer?
Is it 6 mana? It might be 6 mana, sorry.
Really? There's the Gear Seeker Serpent, yeah, but I don't know anything. There's nothing else on common in blue, only the Gear Seeker Serpent.
Am I confusing with uncommon?
Yeah, I think you're confusing things with uncommon.
Okay. You mean is it 6 or 5 mana 3/4 flyer?
That's not a common. I know that's not a common.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I don't know about these things being like working with affinity. Maybe there was a lot of affinity, maybe some improvise and stuff. And I don't think I ever want to pay 2 mana for crewing a vehicle. That's like 2+2. That's 4 mana to crew the first vehicle, 2 mana to crew the first mount. I hope the set is a bit slower, that maybe this is gonna be fine. I'm just gonna give it a D- for now.
Yeah.
I know it's a cantrip, but these effects just look useless. These effects just look absolutely useless. I mean, I don't know. I could have seen this be like 1 mana and not overpowered. Huh?
1 mana cantripper? I think that's really strong.
No. 1 mana abilities. 1 mana abilities.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah. I don't know. These vehicles are not that strong that you need to make it cost 2. Wanna go to the next?
Okay, sure. Ticket Tortoise, 2 mana for an artifact creature, turtle with defender. It's a 3/1. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a treasure token. I don't hate this in a defensive deck. I mean, this obviously will never attack. But if you're on the draw, can help catch you up a little bit with a speed boost. I actually think this is a nice little thing. Can trade off with mostly anything that comes in. I think this is totally fine. I'm going to give this a C-, and I think that you will be totally okay with these in your decks that want to play long. There's a lot of good things about this.
I mean, like Defender 3/1 is horrible, right? Like, absolutely horrible.
If all you're looking to do is trade at the 2-drop, it's perfectly fine.
Like, this is the thing for Affinity, right? It gets you 2 things. But the problem is, like, yeah, you gotta usually be on the draw. Kind of helps if you're maybe screwed a bit. You gotta wait until turn 3 to play it, because you can't play it on turn 2 unless opponent... I don't know, there is no unless. Unless they somehow ramped on turn 2. I think this is garbage. The problem I have with it is it's such a cool effect. It's such a cool effect. Just like a common 2-drop that can get you that trades and can get you a treasure token. It can crew vehicles, right? It can crew vehicles. The problem is these defender creatures, they can never attack. I mean, that's kind of that's what it is, right? Everybody knows that. But that is a problem that people don't really see, and I see it in the chat how people are liking this card. And C- is also pretty high grade. The problem with the 3-1 is you get into the scenario where opponent isn't curving out. Let's say you're obviously not going to play this in an aggressive deck, right, Scott? It's going to be like slower deck, some kind of much slower deck, right?
Yeah, only controlling decks.
Only controlling decks, like controlling decks. Okay, so you're a slower deck. You're playing against whatever, doesn't matter, aggro, control, whatever. Opponent doesn't play a 2-drop. Opponent doesn't play a 3-drop. And bam, you're dishing out these ticket tortoises, and you're not punishing them for that. That is a common scenario with defenders. It's like, oh, I play a control deck, so it's nice for me to get into the late game, and just like, it's not like this card is good to get to the late game. It's just like it trades, it's literally anything. But you can never press the advantage. Like if you're curving out better than the opponent, if they're land screwed or land flooded, defenders make you not press the advantage. The easiest way to win with a control deck where you would put this is to attack the opponent in the early game. Now that's not something that you always do because you're a slow deck. But if you cannot with this one, if you can attack in the early game, if they're playing whatever, especially aggro, and they don't curve out, you press the advantage. At one point there comes the late game, your opponent is afraid for their life total, so they're not attacking, but you're playing a control deck, so you're gonna kind of win. That never happens with defender. That ever never happens with defender creatures. So all these like nice scenarios that you're thinking about, there are so many scenarios, normal scenarios where you curve out, opponent doesn't, where you never punish them, you never press the advantage, and they get back in the game every single time because of your defender creatures. So I think I liked it, and the more I talk about it, the more I hate it. This card is garbage. C-, that's you really like it.
I think that your arguments are. The rest of your arguments were unconvincing to me, but your first argument that you made was convincing to me. I think that you're right. I think this card is not very good.
What's the first argument?
The first argument is that you need to play this on turn 3 to get 2 artifacts, which is really bad.
That's also
really
huge,
bad.
yeah.
That's horrible. Like I was pretty I did overlook the fact that you can never play this on turn 2, even on the draw, and get 2 artifacts. That's very bad. So yeah, I think this is like a D.
I'm gonna D-.
I don't care about the rest of anything else you said.
For me, this might be I'm calling it. This is gonna be one of the worst performing cards in the set, and I'm gonna give it a D-. Oh, sure. Scotty, who is writing down the grades?
Wait, I thought didn't we just talk about this? We said we weren't gonna write them down. We're just gonna fill it out after.
No, I meant okay. I thought that we were gonna write it down and then copy the grades later. Oh, okay.
It's like we change our grades anyway throughout the. Like I always go back in the tier list and change my grades anyway afterwards. So
yeah, but just change them a little bit, right?
Yeah. We'll fill it out afterwards.
Yeah. Like you can play 2 2-drops on turn 3, right? With this, yeah. But one of them is a fucking 3-1 defender. So and that means you have 3 2-drops in your hand. Like how often is that gonna happen? That means that you have 3 2-drops in your hand on turn 3 because you played 1 on turn 2 because why would you not? And then you played 2 of them on turn 3. So these are all like, what? You're going wide to attack the opponent or something, but one creature is a defender. Like I don't know where does this fit? Defender creatures, they better have a crazy fucking upside. And one treasure sometimes. It's not a crazy upside. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's highly replaceable.
Yeah. And everything. Oh yeah. What Reputy said, it's a pilot. Like literally every creature is a pilot because it can crew. Every single creature can crew vehicles. So
now you gotta take a look at those 0 power creatures.
Well, there's a
aren't
0/4
pilots. Anyway.
that can crew vehicle 2 times in a turn.
Yo, you know what? You know what? An 08 cannot crew vehicle, so you're wrong, Lola.
I didn't know that existed in this set.
Get wrecked.
Oh yeah, it does, it does. Is it legendary? Is that legendary?
It's legendary. Legendary blue. Yeah.
Alright, it's gotta go.
Alright. Walking Sarcophagus. Walking Sarcophagus is a 2 mana artifact creature, zombie cat. It's a 2/1. Start your engines. This is our first instance of speed. If you have no speed, it starts at 1. It increases once on each of your turns when an opponent loses life. Max speed is 4. And when it has max speed, this creature gets +1/+2, so it becomes a 3/3 with max speed. I think so. This is the first time we've actually seen speed on a card. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah, this is the first time.
Speed is a really interesting mechanic, right? It cares about you dealing damage or having your opponent lose life. But you also want to start speed early, and then you will get some sort of bonus when you do have max speed. All speed cards aren't necessarily like aggro payoffs. You know, like this one is kind of sort of an aggressive payoff. Like it gets bonus stats, right, later in the game. But there's some of them are like, oh, pay mana to draw cards, right? Not all of them are necessarily go, go, go. But max speed always cares about your opponent losing life. And specifically, speed is much better if you start it early. So I actually think that the 2 drops specifically, or the 2 and 1 drops that start your speed count, are pretty important. And I actually think this one I don't hate that much. Just because it can start speed on 2. So I think this one is a D+. Seems totally okay to me.
It is an artifact creature for like those affinity cards. That's kind of okay. It is a 2/1 though. Max speed is really hard to do, right?
I think that max speed is pretty hard to do with combat if you're trying to go through combat only, which is why I think non-combat ways to make your opponent lose life are really valuable in this set. But yes, it's pretty hard to do with just combat.
No, just a second. My landlord is knocking. Let's. Sam sekunda. I'm just gonna give this a D because it's a 2/1 and I think it's gonna go to D- probably. But it is an artifact, right? So that's kind of nice. Max speed feels really hard, but maybe I'm gonna change my mind as we go. We can go to the next one. I'm just gonna probably say I don't know what he needs something from me or he's going home. So be back in a minute. Is that okay?
Let's talk about Aether Jacket. 3 mana for an artifact creature, Thopter. It's a 2/1 with flying and vigilance. 2 and tap it to sacrifice this creature. Destroy target artifact. Activate only as a sorcery. Personally, I think destroying target artifact is really valuable in the set. A lot of opponents' threats will be artifacts because they're vehicles. But this is pretty expensive. Evasion is a nice way to get your speed count up, but it's relatively slow. Overall, I think the stats on this aren't great, but I think it's fine as a filler. Same as the Walking Sarcophagus for me. I personally would give it a D+. All cards share speed. So you, as a player, you have speed. Your cards don't technically have speed. You have speed and you achieve max speed. So when you start speed on turn 1 or turn 2, that speed will build up on you. And then once you hit 4 speed, a card that you play on turn 7 will have max speed. So speed is something that a player collects. So basically, even though this, for example, this card doesn't have speed attached to it, I would say that just by nature of having evasion, it is decent at building speed. It's a little expensive and understated. Like evasion, I think is good in this set. The ability that this has is pretty good in this set. And the stats are horrible. Stats are really bad. Oh, is it buggy? Is it counting stuff that just people say A in the message or something? No, it's 8+ was never said anywhere. I think it only cares about the opponent losing life. Oh, does opponent get speed? Sorry, I misread your message. Yeah. So if you damage yourself on your opponent's turn, they will gain speed.
What do you give it?
I gave it a D+.
Kind of cool, I can kill things, but I mean 3 mana for 2/1 flying vigilance I really don't like that much. It can crew vehicles on the defense, right? That's kind of okay.
It can.
So that's not too bad. Like, he has a lot of things, but it does everything kind of bad, right? Like, it's really nice. Flying Vigilance, crew vehicles on the defense, heal artifacts. There are a lot of artifacts. Every vehicle is an artifact. But I'm just gonna go with a D.
Okay.
Maybe
stats
it's
are horrible.
better. I can see it being a D+, but just because it does everything kind of bad. Like, when you do pay this mana, you kind of paid 5 in total to kill something, and usually you're not gonna be killing a 5-drop, so... But it's okay. It's playable. I think it's playable.
Should also be noted. Should also be noted that there's 2, and I think I have the rarities right this time. I think there's 2 1/3s at common, 1 in black, 1 in blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is completely hoses as 2 drops.
Oh, the 1/3 common, yes.
There's a 1/3 Surveil 2 ETB, and then there's a 1/3 Exhaust in blue.
Yes, those are
That both
commons.
fly.
Yeah,
Yeah, and which hose this card so badly.
Yeah, this just does nothing then, right?
yeah, this is probably a D. This is probably a D.
Yeah, I'm gonna D. Maybe it's a D-, but let's go with a D. These
Okay.
colorless cards are not really doing it for us, huh?
I mean, they never do, really.
Halo Hopper, though. Halo Hopper.
Halo Hopper is sweet.
We didn't believe in it at first, though.
Camera Launcher, 3 mana. For an artifact creature construct, it's a 2/2 with Exhaust 3. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Exhaust means you can only activate the ability once, period. Once, that's it. I believe that for paper magic, most exhaust abilities add counters onto the creature as well, just for tracking purposes. Right? So you kind of have a memory over a long game about what you've used, what exhaust abilities you've used. I think that's design-wise why most of them come with +1/+1 counters. This card stinks.
It stinks. My God, it stinks.
It's so expensive. It's a 3 mana 2/2, then you have to pay additional 3 mana. Ugh, really bad. I really don't like this. I don't care if it makes multiple artifacts. So expensive. D-.
D- as well. I mean, I kind of want to give it an F, but I guess with this many colorless, if everything is a D- in colorless, I mean, you're gonna put something in probably, I guess. There's a lot of it. But yeah. Jesus, 6 mana? Like 3 mana 2/2 is, oh my God. 2 mana 2/2 is not good. 3+3 for a 3/3 and make a 1/1? I mean, come on. It would be... No, I don't want to talk about it. Let's go next.
Okay. Starting Column. Starting Column is a 3 mana artifact. Start your engines. Tap to add 1 mana of any color, and at max speed, you can sacrifice this artifact, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. It's honestly pretty appealing to be able to...
Pogledat ću kaj bi mogao. Možeš. U svakom slučaju ti se javim. Okay. Oh, sorry man. I forgot to mute myself. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's pretty appealing to be able to draw and then discard, etc. I don't really care about the fact that this starts speed. I think most decks will have, I believe almost every single game, a player is going to have some speed count. Whether how good they are at achieving speed, max speed or not, is quite different. But it's not that difficult to start your engines, at least. To get max speed is a different story. This card also doesn't really help you achieve max speed. Like, you're paying 3 mana to do nothing. I don't, based on looking at the set, think that there will be a ton of splashy with this. Barely any organic chicken. And I'm not a huge believer in starting Column, even though the ability, frankly speaking, is good on a mono rock. I think this is a D.
Yeah, like, this doesn't help you get the engines up, right? Because you're not playing things to attack. So, I don't know, max speed seems so hard. Like, dealing damage 4 times to the opponent seems so hard.
If you max speed if you start your engines on turn 2, the soonest you're going to get max speed is turn 6, right?
And you're probably not going to get it.
Because like that also includes you attacking with a 1-drop on turn 2. So probably turn 7.
Let's go. You're attacking on turn 3, right? The first time. So 3, 4,
yeah.
5. No,
Turn
no.
5,
This turn
okay.
5 is the earliest.
Turn 5, sorry.
Because you get 1 right away. On 2 you play, you're not gonna attack with your 1-drop probably, right? So let's say you attack with your 2-drop on turn 3 and it gets through. That's 2 speed, and then turn 4, turn 5, that's 4 speed, but that is hard, man. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
So yeah, the speed is gonna be like extreme late game. Not a big fan. I'm on a D-. This is like just almost only a mana rock. Rakdos cheat on max speed will get it much easier. Yeah, are there enough things? I didn't really see them, but maybe I didn't notice them. Are there enough things that deal 1 damage like to their face or something?
So the Rakdos 2-drop uncommon deals 1 damage the turn it comes into play and starts speed. So it'll start you on 2 speed immediately. The Rakdos 2-drop uncommon.
Okay, so that's cool.
That's a good card.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's also a decent amount in between the Rakdos colors that deal direct face damage, which I actually think those cards are pretty good. Wreck Remover, 4 mana for an artifact creature construct. It's a 3/4. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard, you gain 1 life. Cycling 2. Cycling is a classic mechanic, I would say, that you can pay a cost, discard it, and then you draw a card. Cycling returns. Cycling 2 is kind of expensive, though. This card in itself is very unimpressive. And I don't care about this in any capacity. This is not great for enabling your artifact synergies. It's not great for cycling. It's, I think, good at doing nothing. I think this is a D-.
I mean, I don't know. It's... If you don't have other 4-drops, I mean, I don't know, gain 1 life, gain probably 1
4
more.
drops?
3/4 is a really crappy stat line. Yeah, it's probably not. This is not great. Doesn't do anything that good. Oh, they've been like until a year ago or something. They've been printing like colorless cards, which are really nice, and then they came back to their old ways. Like, oh, colorless needs to suck because every deck can play it. And now we're back to this thing. Are there many reanimator things? I didn't really notice that. It's not like it hoses much. No threshold and stuff.
Well, Green Black's, at least according to Wizard's cheat sheet, Green Black's entire theme is graveyard. So
there is something that cares about creatures in the graveyard, I guess. The green 3-drop can get you like lands back from graveyard, but you mill
but that
already.
one mills you first.
Huh?
But that one mills you first,
but that
right?
mills
so
you
that
first,
one's
right?
like
Yeah, so...
Patient naturalist or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see many reanimator things on common, so I'm just on a D- as well, man. Cycling doesn't help much. It's like... I guess you can cycle it to get some better card, but... I mean, what? Cycle your 4-drop? Like, 4-drops are usually always kind of good, so... Usually don't care about cycling your 4-drop, and it's 2 mana as well. White can return vehicles from graveyard, that's true. Yeah, but I don't care about this. It's like, it's not instant speed, so you're gonna like... they're gonna know that they cannot do something. What is this, man?
Skybox Ferry, 5 mana for an artifact vehicle. It's a 4/4 with flying and crew 2. And you can cycle 2. This also is good at doing nothing.
It's nothing.
It's funny because it's funny because usually vehicles are like overstated because it's such a big cost to crew them.
Yeah.
And this one's like understated, and this card also sucks. So D-? We're not underestimating these, are we?
This is an F. Like, this is literally unplayable, I think.
Okay.
I'm exactly
pretty down for F. Yeah.
Okay, this is our first vehicle. Right? First
yes.
vehicle of the set.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Just a quick chat about this card. Scotty, I don't think you're underestimating it. Did you want to say anything else about it?
No, it sucks.
Yeah, but I don't think you're underestimating. Like, 5 mana 4/4 flying was good when everything sucked. When every ground creature sucked. And we've had that in a lot of sets. Not recently, but some time ago. For people that played more than like 2-3 years. it was great. 5 mana, 4/4 flying. Yeah, it kills the opponent in 5 turns because ground is like clogged with garbage creatures. But now ground creatures don't suck. So okay, let's forget about that. 5 mana 4/4 is not premium anymore. It needs to have some good effects. Since this is our first vehicle, I really want to get a little bit into it so I don't have to like constantly repeat myself or something. Even though maybe I am sometimes. What Scotty said, vehicles are usually overstated, but like really overstated, because the cost of crewing it is huge. It means you don't have an extra creature on board. You have an extra creature that's going to replace one of your creatures. And if you don't have anything to crew it with, it's nothing. Like, this is the thing. This is why this is a weird set for me. And I didn't see enough support for vehicles, but maybe I'm wrong. We're going to see through the tier list when we do the in-depth dive of everything. You play like 2 vehicles. Or 3. On your board. You play 2 or 3 on your board, right? You're making a vehicle deck or something. Then opponent kills your creature. Because, I mean, how many creatures do you really have? Okay, now those vehicles are nothing. They're not even lands. They're literally nothing. You play another vehicle. Oh, sorry, you play another creature. Opponent kills it. You have nothing. You just lose. At that point, you just lose. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna play creatures in like 5 turns. No, you're gonna lose. Opponent has 3 creatures, you have 3 vehicles, boom, they kill you. That's why in like there was Kaladesh had most vehicles in any set that I remember, and you always had to be careful how many vehicles you include, even the good ones. You're like, okay, I have a couple of good ones, like two, and they're like, do I really want to put a 3rd vehicle in? Okay, I can put a 3rd one. 4th vehicle? Oh shit, that's not good. This could fuck me up. This could lose me the game. These 4 vehicles, and they were overstated, like crazy overstated. Things like this, like it's 5 mana 4/4, that's flying, that's like fine, that's expected for a 5-drop flyer. And cycling for 2, it's like whatever. I mean, yeah, sure, you can replace it, that's nothing. Not much at least. Crew 2, most of the vehicles that I saw are gonna fall in the same trap. Like people are gonna play too many of them, and opponent is gonna have creatures and they're just gonna kill them. Especially if the opponent is going wide. It also looks like, oh, I'm going wide and vehicles are good. But imagine just going even wider and killing the opponent who's maybe playing vehicles and cannot block your creatures. So this feels like an unplayable card, especially in a set that has a ton of vehicles. Like, they need to be premium. Like, vehicles need to look completely busted in this set, I think, for you to pick them higher than D- or an F. So yeah, just an F. I don't think I'm ever gonna put this in the deck, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're gonna figure out something during the set review. Anything to add, Scotty?
Also in another comment in 2025 Magic, cycling 2 is not a good ability.
No.
It's yeah, you just don't care about cycling 2. And so many cards actually cycle as well, so you're not gonna have a shortage, of this.
There is that one card that deals 1 damage in red. I think it's red. That deals 1 damage whenever you cycle, but that's not good enough for. That's a 3-drop, I think, and you don't want to cycle for 2 to do that effect, even for max speed. Like, you're gonna have max speed. Oh, I have it a little bit earlier. It's like turn 5 I have it, or 6 or 7. That's like earlier. And then opponent's gonna be like, yeah, but you're dead because you cycled so much. Yeah, unplayable card, I think. Do you have anything to add about vehicles? Like, we're gonna get to more, but like, anything? Maybe you don't agree with something that I said, because this is gonna be like super important for this set, vehicles.
No, I think everything you said about vehicles was spot on. Vehicles are one of the most overrated card types.
Yeah.
Period. But we'll see how many things about this set and its design specifically change that dynamic, which I think is very interesting. Because obviously Wizards isn't going to put this density of vehicles in a set without some way to mitigate how bad they feel.
I hope. They did testing and shit, and I hope you're right, because that's one of the things that drew me into this set. It's like, wait, they're gonna have a ton of vehicles and they're gonna make them work? Okay, I wanna see this. That feels.
Are you on lands now?
Sorry, what?
Are you on lands now? Common lands?
Yeah.
Avishkar Raceway. It's a land. Start your engines and tap to add colorless. Max speed 3 and tap it to discard a card and then draw a card. These are the fastest ways to start your engines, right? You can start your engines on turn 1, which is kind of interesting, but having colorless lands is a huge cost.
Yeah.
We can break this down in a couple ways. Starting your engines on turn 1, fine, right? It's actually very good, but it's only extra good on specifically turn 1 if you also have a 1-drop to pair with it. Like Gingerbrute, which doesn't exist in the set.
Yeah.
In fact, we just went through all the colorless commons, and there's actually nothing that can press your opponent's life total for 1 mana colorless. And this, I don't know if there's a single way in the set to actually get speed 2 on turn 2 because of Avishkar Raceway on turn 1. So I don't think that that's super relevant. I think colorless land is huge downside.
Huge downside.
I also think max speed 3 and tap, which is 4 mana total, because you have to also tap this, which is essentially the 4th mana to discard a card, draw a card. Not even a huge upside. Not even a huge upside. This does not, despite the fact that this says it's kind of somewhat counterintuitive. Just because this says start your engines doesn't actually increase speed on its own. If you already have speed 2 and then you play this land, it does nothing, right? It actually does nothing. It just starts the engine. It doesn't make the engine go faster. So I think this card is crap. I think this card is actually quite bad. I think this is a D-.
Yeah, D- as well. I guess you can, I don't know, put it somewhere, but colorless lands, huge downside. You need to play your cards in your deck. That's the most important part of any deck, and this helps you not play them. I don't think we said it, just a quick rundown of start your engines. You play a card that starts your engines, your speed goes to 1. If you play multiple cards that start your engines, nothing happens. Only the first one is going to go to 1. Only way to get it up is to deal damage to the opponent during your turn. I don't know why it's only during your turn, but that's how it is. I really don't know why, but that's how it fucking is. So, which means like every turn you can up your speed by 1. Every one of your turns. Until 4, that's max speed, that's where cards do things. Next we have this cycle, like Rite of Caves, that gain you 1 life. Yeah, that's nice. I'm on a D+, like you take them when you need them. Not like you care about gaining life.
I think D+ is totally fine. Yeah. Wouldn't deserts be gas in this set?
Oh, deserts!
Deserts would be gas.
Oh,
but
man!
No, these aren't deserts.
Yeah! These are the opposite. Oh, deserts would be so nice. Deal 1 damage, get your speed up. Woo!
Yeah, but not happening. Is that the last of the common lands?
I think. There's the night market.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, night market is nice.
Let me read this night market. Sorry, give me a second. Night market is a land. This land enters tapped. As it enters, choose a color. Tap, add 1 mana of the chosen color, and cycling 3. This is nice. When you don't want to land, cycling 3 is fine. It's expensive, so it means you probably can't double spell, but if you're like in a top deck war, that's okay. That's totally fine. And this is pretty decent in a top deck war, and it just does its thing. It's not like because it has cycling 3, it takes a big hit in quality. This is just a tap fixing land. I like this. I think this is pretty good. I think this is a C+.
Yeah, this is great. This is a beautiful land. I'm gonna go with a C, I think. But it is beautiful, yeah. Fixing, and then, yeah, you can cycle it if you top deck it later. This is beautiful. What grade would you give deserts in this edition? Okay, I think deserts would still be worse here than they were in OTJ. I think crimes were way better way to use deserts than max speed. More powerful effects. Do you think so? Same, Scotty?
I really value non-combat ways to increase speed.
Yeah.
But it depends on the payoffs. I actually think it's really good to ping your opponent in the face.
That would be so nice, yeah.
Because I also think that I think most every deck starts speed. Not every deck cared about crimes in OTJ.
I'm just gonna have to, my landlord left, so I can finally go and go to the bathroom. I didn't go since I woke up. He was
We're gonna start with uncommons, colorless uncommons, right?
yes. He was demolishing the
Okay.
bed. Wait, he was demolishing the bedroom. Just one small part. One small part. Toilet is still fine and shower is still fine. Because I'm moving out to the place in like 2 weeks or less. So I couldn't go to the bedroom. Okay, be back in a minute, in 2 minutes, alright?
Fine, I'm gonna go too. Bye.
Okay, see ya in a minute, guys.
Wait, I muted first. I'm not gonna lie, Horn. I didn't like that card when I first saw it, but after thinking about it a little bit, that card I think is really good.
Alright.
We on Pit Automaton?
Yes. Should I read? Okay, I'm gonna go with the
automatons.
uncommons. You go with the rares afterwards.
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry about that. Go.
Oh, who cares? It's easier if you read. Pit Automaton for its 0/4 artifact creature. Defender with tap, add to Colorless. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. And you can pay 2 and tap it. When you next activate an exhaust ability this turn, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Okay, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Can't crew anything. This doesn't crew. So there is that. This is only for basically only for. Oh, cycling is an ability.
Yes, it is.
That is like
An
for
activated
cycling.
ability.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, it's an activated ability too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an ability. So this is for exhaust, mostly for exhaust, right? I really cannot say how good this is gonna be. Like, I checked the commons, checked for one uncommons, but I don't really have. Well, with all the moving and everything, I didn't like go in depth, and I'm really not sure like how good this is gonna be, because like 0/4 2 mana is pretty bad. Copying the exhaust ability, most of them cost quite a lot, so it's gonna be very hard like to pay 2 extra to copy it, but. The green one, this is like, the green one is really good, like the green one that makes you 3/3. You know? The one, there's one drop that makes you +1, gives itself +1/+1 like everything and makes it 3/3 as well. This is super cool. I'm gonna start it as D+, I think. But I can see it being much worse. Like, you really need to have a critical amount of this. And some of them that don't cost a lot, so you can maybe copy them.
I'm kind of a believer.
Hmm?
You know, I'll go a super optimistic C on this.
Okay, I hope you're
so the thing that I really like about exhaust abilities is when you hit the threshold of being able to exhaust something, the threat of activation becomes super real.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to spend the mana necessarily, and the threat of activation becomes a real thing. And hitting that so much faster, I think, will affect combat a good amount. I understand that this on its own kind of needs to affect combat a good amount because it itself doesn't do very well with combat. But this is a really powerful effect. It is very. The gameplay is very interesting because, as you said, this helps you hit the exhaust abilities really fast, but then it's really slow to be able to copy it because it's a 2 mana discount on exhaust abilities and then a 2 mana tax to copy them. So it's like 4 mana difference. So it's going to be hyper late game when you're going to be copying stuff. But I'm a believer. I'll go with C.
I'm gonna go with a C- as well. Like, I remember there are some abilities that are not even exhaust, and that it's kind of nice to activate them. Like that guy in green that like can search, look at the top 3 cards and get like choose a permanent. So there are some things that there are enough things probably for this to be a C. I'm also can I join you?
No, you're not allowed.
Oh.
Get your own space.
If I could, I would actually be on a C. Like, I think there are enough things. Like, 2 mana is a lot. I really hope that this card is gonna be good. I hope that it's maybe even. I hope it's gonna go to C+. So this is like Pretty cool effect. And it also means that it's not all about starting to attack with your 2-drops.
Yep.
Right? Because if you can play 0-4 defender, even with this, even if this effect is good, it means like, oh, I don't have to like start aggression very early. And I like those sets because then a lot of different decks can be played. Can you read the next one? I just want to do one thing.
I believe the next one is Marshall's Path Cruiser. Marshall's Path Cruiser is a 3-mana artifact vehicle. When this vehicle enters, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. It's a 6/5 with crew 5, which is horrible. It's dreadful. Awful. Awful vehicle. But you can exhaust it for the full Wurburg, one of each color, and this vehicle becomes an artifact creature, put 2+1/+1 counters on it. This is the first time that we've seen this type of exhaustibility, and the most important thing to note is that it doesn't become an artifact creature until end of turn. It just becomes an artifact creature.
Ever.
And it just stays there. So once you pay the full Wurburg, it costs 7/6. How splashy do I think this set is? I don't think it's going to be that splashy. I don't think it's going to be particularly splashy. I'm not a believer in this one. I'm not huge on this card at all. I think 3 mana to fetch a land is pretty bad. I think crewing it will be possible, especially with the surplus of pilots that we see, but not good. Not good. I think this is a D.
Yeah, it's really, yeah. You kind of really need to have these 5/1 activated at one point. Yeah, this is so hard. Sure, a D sounds fine because it does have that extra effect, and maybe you're gonna have enough. Maybe you really want to splash and you have enough things that it's very crewable. So it's a very cool card. Hope it's gonna be better again, because if it is, the set is a bit slower than maybe what it looks like. We got our first equipment vehicle. Rollerblades for 3, you get a 2/2 double striker. With crew 2. And you can equip it for 4, and equipped creature has double strike. So this is where that like that guy that we looked at that gives you 2 colorless mana kind of kicks in. You can use it to equip as well. That being said, I think this is absolutely abysmal card. Everything about it is too much. Crewing it for 2, it is so much. Wait, once you equip, you cannot crew it anymore, or?
If it's equipped onto a creature and you crew it, it falls off.
It does fall off because it becomes... Oh! So it's not like reconfigure. Yeah, because it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That's pretty cool. Oh, 3 mana 2/2 double strike is playable. 3 mana 2/2 double strike that is not a creature, but you need to crew to make it creature, is very different. Kinda wanna give it an F, man, but I'm gonna give it a D-.
I'm okay with D-. This card's pretty bad.
Horrible card. Ooh, man. I can't wait for the start of the set. I can't wait to just be in these board positions where opponent has like 4 vehicles and I have like 2 removal spells and I just win the game because they have 4 vehicles. I can't wait for that. Racer's scoreboard for 4. It's an artifact. Start your engines. When this artifact enters, draw 2 cards and discard a card. Max speed, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Wow, well, that's horrible. Why are you not just drawing 2 cards? Wait, why are you not just drawing 2 cards here? Man, I'm just gonna give it an F. I don't think this is playable. These colorless cards have been pretty garbage so far. I don't think this is playable card. F, yeah. Like, you don't even draw an extra card for 4 mana. Like, you don't even get an extra card. It's like a cycling for 4. Holy crap. Next up we got Amonkhet Raceway. It's a land that says start your engines. You can tap it for a colorless, and when you have max speed, you can tap it, target creature gains haste until end of turn. Yeah, I don't like it. It's colorless land, D-.
Yeah, D-. Pretty bad. Same thing with the other ones. I have no interest in this.
Nope.
Barely any.
Makes your mana way too inconsistent. We are done with colorless, right? Yeah. So
So they don't have the pilot lands under colorless on
we
yours.
can do the pilot lands as well.
Okay.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you want to group them all together? Do you think they're all equal?
Well, for now I do, but they're certainly not gonna be equal once we go through the whole set. I mean, for now, these are the lands where they enter taps. They're just like normal planes or forests or whatever in terms of what mana they give you. But if you have mount or vehicle, they come into the play untapped. But all of them, you can pay 1 colorless and 1 mana of their respective color source and tap this land, so that's 3 in total, and you sacrifice this land, and you can make a 1/1 colorless pilot. These colorless pilots are always gonna be that this token can saddle or crew a vehicle for its power +2. So if it continues having 1 power, which most of the time is gonna be like that, it's gonna crew as it has 3. So I kind of like all of these. Great. And I'm just gonna give them all C for now, but I can see them being like a C+. Because
Yeah, I really like them. I'd put them all at C+.
if you're gonna be playing some vehicles, that's gonna be like, okay, now your vehicle is there. It's pretty good. Okay, so we can do the multicolored uncommon multicolored signpost uncommons to see what wizards wanted the multicolor to be. How about that?
We didn't do rares yet. Do you want to do rares?
Oh yeah, the colorless rares. My bad. Yeah, last time I think we didn't do that because we were not sure how much time we have. Okay, colorless rares. Go, Scotty.
First one is Market Back Walker, right? Market Back Walker is an XX artifact creature construct. It's a 0/0. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can pay 4 mana to put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. When this creature dies, draw a card for each +1/+1 counter on it. For 2 mana, it's a 1/1 that when it dies, you draw a card. For 4 mana, it's a 2/2 that you draw 2 creatures when it dies. 6 mana, 3/3, etc. So the stats are, frankly speaking, very bad. The threat of activation of putting counters on this is quite expensive. The effect itself, pretty good. It's pretty good. But if they have any way, for example, to tap this down with like the blue common spell, if they have any way to exile this, it gets rough. it gets really rough. I'm not a huge believer in this. I think it's fine. I think it's okay. I think for me this is like a C. It's a little expensive for my liking.
It's pretty cool. It is like a nerfed ballista or something for the walker, because you're not affecting the board more. Like this affects the board in a very bad way, but it's like our advantage later. But it doesn't affect the board in any better way when it dies or while it's on the board. I mean, it's pretty flexible. It's 2 mana 1/1 that when it dies draws you a card. That's not great. Then it's a 4 mana 2/2 that when it dies draws you 2 cards. 6 mana 3/3 when it dies draws you 3 cards. And then like you can, there is that colorless uncommon that makes this cost 2 mana to put a counter on it. No. 2 mana 1/1 draw is not like a spirited companion. When something is a death effect, you have so much less agency when it's gonna trigger. And it's so much harder to double spell and stuff. So death effects are unbelievably worse than ETB effects. It's like it's not, everybody knows they're worse, but a lot of times people compare these cards. It's not a bit worse. It's huge. It is absolutely huge. Like a card that has an ETB effect of some sort, maybe the best card in the set. Same card, if it has a dead effect, might be, I don't want to play this ever because it's a dead effect. That's how big a difference is. Having said, I mean, this kind of fine for me. It's like very bad at affecting the board. Or later on, if you have a mana sink, you just put 4/4 and put things. What do you give it?
I give it a C. It's fine.
It's fine. I'm gonna give it a C minus. The dead effect is the huge problem with this. Like you're affecting the board in a bad way, and then God forbid if what Scotty said, they can just remove it with something. Wanna go next?
Yeah, expensive. Lifecraft Engine. Life Crash Engine is a 3 mana artifact vehicle. It's a 4/4. As this vehicle enters, choose a creature type. Vehicle creatures you control are the chosen creature type in addition to their other types. Each creature you control of the chosen type other than this vehicle get +1/+1 with crew 3. This is actually just an anthem. This is actually just a 3 mana anthem, right? Like it doesn't have to be a creature. It doesn't have to be crewed in order for this to be an anthem. The fact is, this kind of has crew too, because all your creatures have +1/+1. This isn't bad. This is pretty good. This is a pretty good card.
And all the vehicles are bigger,
I can
right?
see. Yeah, I can see that you may not even want to crew this to not expose it to removal, if you can. But if you have to, you can. You know, it's pretty good. This card's pretty good. I like it a lot. I think it's strong. I think this is a B.
Yeah, I like this a lot as well. And it's not just an anthem for things. It's like, yeah, you can. This is really good that you can crew, right? It's. Yeah, this is amazing.
What I said about it being crew 2 is it's more false than true, I think, because then it obviously only pumps the vehicle creatures, not all creatures.
Wait.
So.
Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah, so it's significantly worse than what I said it was.
Wait, but each creature you
Reading is
control of the chosen type other than this vehicle gets +1/+1. It also pumps the non-vehicle creatures.
Well, it only pumps them if they're of that type that you chose.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like crew 2 for something.
I still think it's very good.
It's very good. Yeah, I'm gonna go B minus. Or B? I'm gonna go B minus because it still is just like a certain type, and I think it can go up if you have like a lot of same types, and maybe humans. Are these human pilots, by the way? Are the pilots human pilots or just pilots?
They can be any. Oh, you mean the pilot tokens?
The pilot tokens.
Oh,
Tokens are always just one type, right?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Monument to Endurance. Oh, it's you.
Yeah, Monument to Endurance. It's a 3 mana artifact. Whenever you discard a card, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Draw a card, create a treasure token. Each opponent loses 3 life. Discarding in this set is mostly off of cycling. There are some cards that have abilities that discard that can help you loot, that can help you rummage on their own. But honestly, this is pretty dang powerful.
If you're
this is a pretty strong effect. This is 3 mana to not affect the board. There's 3 mana to not affect the board, which is extremely rough. But there's some pretty dang good effects here. You don't want to pay 3 mana and then pay a bunch more mana to not affect the board more by cycling, because none of these abilities actively affect the board. It can close things out, it can help you get more card advantage, but nothing helps you attack or block. That being said, I actually think that this is enough of an impact to be like a pretty decent value finisher if you can sneak it in on like turn. Well, I mean, if your opponent's not pressuring you on turn 3, but anytime after that, I think this is enough of an effect where I think this is actually pretty decent, but niche. So I think I'd take this as a C minus, but I actually think this has like a ceiling of a C plus. But it does a lot of good things.
Treasure cycling
closes the
costs
game out
1,
relatively
but
quickly.
You already paid. They're always gonna, basically always gonna do like draw a card or opponent loses 3 life, right?
Unless you for some reason need to accelerate or etc. There's like a 5-drop that can cycle for free.
Yes,
but
rummage. It can rummage for free, right?
It can rummage for free, yeah.
There is that 5-drop in red, right? That once every or one of your turns, you can discard a card and draw a card for nothing. That is pretty cool.
So for me, the issue is not how many cycling cards you can get, because there's a lot of cycling cards, and the effect, in my opinion, is pretty good. It's how much can you afford to do nothing? You know, how much can you afford to do nothing? Which is not that much, but I think 3 is kind of a sweet point. I think 4 would be garbage. I think 3 is just good enough for me to say this is a decent card.
What do you give it?
I gave it a C minus, but I think a ceiling C plus.
Like, all of this is so cool, but the card is probably gonna suck. It is 3 mana, do nothing, and then it needs you to do other things, and you gotta cycle a lot of times to and rummage a lot of times for this to be good, right? Like you gotta do it 3 times. You basically gotta do it 3 times. Like when you do it 2 times, it's like you just play the divination that took you a long time to do that, and you lost some of the games because you actually didn't have all of those cards to rummage and cycle it. So you gotta do it 3 times on different turns, because you kind of want to draw a card or start killing the opponent. The 3 damage is like the best one if you really have a lot of ways to cycle.
I mean, like say on turn 5, right? Or I guess not on turn 5, but I mean that it's a lot of damage really quickly.
Quickly? Like it's once per turn though, and
I mean, like you play this, you cycle, that's 3 damage. Next turn you cycle, then pass the turn, cycle again.
it's like it's so cool, right? It's such a cool card, but it's always danger. I think this card is gonna be so bad performing. This is not like a cycle set, like you just want to cycle. Because there is basically no other payoffs. That's the thing. Like there's gonna be this, and it's not like you're playing Ikoria and then I'm making a cycling deck for like 6, 7, 8 cards in my decks are really good payoffs. This is gonna be like I'm playing this, and that's my cycling payoff. Other things are not. So I don't think you're gonna be looking to cycle. So cycling equals speed. Yeah, I don't know. That's true, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna go on a D for this. Such cool card, such powerful effect, but it takes way too many things to go right. Right? It takes so many things. And again,
Cool.
the biggest.
I don't think it's that much.
Sorry, no, you don't think it's that much?
Nah, I don't think it's that. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or I think it's pretty okay.
Okay, I hope it's gonna be good because it's so cool. But I really didn't see other cycling payoffs, and then like. You're not gonna be trying to. I don't think this is worth it to make a cycling deck like this one card.
The cycling payoffs are all is it and at uncommon. So there's a 1-drop in red, which is like barely a payoff. It's fine. There's a blue flyer for 2 mana. That's an uncommon. And then there's a red 3-drop that pings. That's only pings players though at uncommon.
The 3-drop is a common. Right?
Is it? Okay, my bad.
That pings for
I'm
one.
really bad with the rarities. Huh.
Oh, whatever. It's a new set. What is the blue uncommon do?
Blue one is a 2 mana 1/2 flyer.
And what does it do?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
What's the payoff?
Oh, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Whenever you discard a card.
Yes, for that many cards.
Yeah, that's an uncommon. That's so huge. Like there's that 1/4 that's not payoff. Like playing a that 3 mana 1/4. I don't think that's any kind of payoff.
Yeah, it's pretty whatever.
To do 1 damage. I think that card is no. So yeah, I mean, too little things to support it. I don't think we're gonna do that. Oh, next are the lands. Oh, these are like the. What was it? The
Verges?
Yeah, where did we see these lands?
Duskmourn.
It was Duskmourn?
Verges were in Duskmourn, yes.
Okay, it was Duskmourn. Whatever.
I don't
plus.
think that Verges are significantly better than Gain lands. I would put them all on D+.
I think the reverse.
The worse than Gain lands, okay.
Yes, because
Okay.
Because it's harder to splash with this, right? It's easier to splash with the others.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so like if you're splashing for black, you play this, okay, you got black, but you gotta have white to have white.
Yep.
Right.
You're right.
That's the problem. Or if it's like if you're splashing for white, that's where it's better, right? Right? Wait, maybe I got it the other way around. Hey, if you're splashing for white...
No, splashing for black is bad. This is basically a swamp. This is basically a swamp if you're splashing for black.
Yeah. So this is this is better if you're splashing for white. Yeah. I did it the wrong way around. Right? Yeah. This is like it's better when you're splashing for white because you're gonna have a lot of swamps in your deck anyways. So this other effect that's gonna activate if you have a swamp, it's gonna be fine because you're gonna play it. But so if you're splashing for white, that is fine. But if you're splashing... No, I did it the correct way. Yeah, but if you're splashing for black, that's kind of shit. Yeah, because Well, if you... It's not much different than a swamp because you're not going to have other swamps in play. So the second effect is going to activate only when it doesn't matter that much. All of these like D+, they're still fine.
Is that the last of the lands?
We got a Muraganda Raceway. I can read it. Start your engines.
Sure, thank you.
You can tap it and add colorless. Max speed you can add to colorless. This is literally unplayable. This is an F. This is literally unplayable.
This card sucks.
You better have some...
This is the worst of them so far.
Yeah, and it's rare. It's like, it's gonna take so long to get to speed 4. It's gonna take so long. At first when I saw max speed, I thought whenever I play a card that says start your engines, it advances your engines for 1. And I was like, oh yeah, this is happening. But then when I was like, you gotta deal damage to face 3 times after starting your engine? Hell no. Yeah, this is gonna be colorless lane. Once you finally get there, it's gonna be like turn 7 plus usually. Once you finally do get there, well, you don't care about having 2 extra mana almost ever. So it's much more often it's gonna mess you up by not letting you play your main deck. We did all of these. And onto the colorless mythics. Shall I start? You got the Aetherspark. This is the grand prize of the tournament. Legendary artifact Planeswalker that is also an equipment. I don't remember ever seeing an artifact Planeswalker and definitely not equipment Planeswalker in legendary ones. It has 4 loyalty, costs 4 colorless. It says, this is static ability. As long as the Aetherspark is attached to a creature, the Aetherspark can't be attacked and has, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, put that many loyalty counters on the Aetherspark. Okay, that's weird, but we gotta read the abilities for it to make sense. For +1, you attach the Aetherspark to up to 1 target creature you control, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. For -5, you draw 2 cards. For -10, you add 10 mana of any one color. Probably never gonna do it at the -10. I like this. So this can basically never be attacked. Unless they kill that creature, I guess. It's very hard to kill this Planeswalker. Right? How's this Planeswalker? Because I guess it's the Aetherspark, right? It's the Aetherspark, okay? That's how like Planeswalkers get their spark, right? And then people get their spark and then they become Planeswalkers. Alright, so let's see. 4 mana, when you play it, it's a +1. Equip it's somewhere, it gets +1/+1 forever. Okay, that's kind of cool, but that's super slow, right? That's not a good start. But most of the times, Planeswalkers are not a great start. They're just like something that's gonna constantly keep doing things. And then probably every turn you're putting +1. If you can hit the opponent with something, then you can just -5 and draw 2 cards. But it's an artifact, so I guess people can remove this because it's an artifact. There are going to be artifact destruction. This is really cool if you can do damage with that creature, right?
Yeah, it gets a lot of loyalty.
This is hard to grade, man. Like, it's gonna be very hard to kill Planeswalker. It like protects itself by putting itself on a creature, but if opponent kills that creature, then it falls off, right? So they can just like...
Oh, yeah,
it's any combat damage.
Yeah.
Cory, it's any combat damage, it's not just face.
Yeah, even if they block. Yeah, you're right.
Ooh, this is good, man. No, I'm okay with this. You put it, you put this on like your 4/4. You attack, it has 10 loyalty. You put it on a 4/4 attack, it has 10 loyalty. You don't even care if they attack it. They're gonna deal 10 damage to it? Like, okay, this is kinda has to be destroyed. Most of the time. You have to attack to give it loyalty. Yeah, you put it on something, hopefully a 4/4 attack, it has 10. I think this is great. I'm gonna give it a B+. I don't think it's a bomb. Maybe it's a bomb, man.
I mean, there's a lot of powerful things here. There are fail cases. Obviously, you can never draw cards the turn this comes down. and if you draw this when you have no creatures, then it's terrible. But other than that, it's very powerful and pretty much needs to be destroyed. You're not attacking this down. Unless their opponent has literally no creatures, obviously. I think it's a B. I think it's a B plus. I think it's a B plus as well.
Yeah.
Not
good.
without downside, but it's good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Maybe sometimes you're gonna minus 10 even. Yeah, they bet. Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially if you have a surplus of cards, right? You can just minus 10.
Combat damage during your turn. If you're really behind, I mean, it's gonna be kind of shitty, but a lot of cards are gonna be shitty when you're behind. It's not just gonna be like completely unplayable when you're behind, but no counters.
I mean, they're never gonna attack this even when. I mean, they could attack this even when you're behind, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's gonna buy you a lot of time, and it's gonna add +1/+1 counters to your key creatures to block.
Minus 10, I mean, yeah, you activate all your exhaust cards, sometimes you're gonna, I think, do that and play out maybe the cards that you drew. I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm being visual, but this does feel really good in most scenarios. Alright, B+.
I think it's a good card. It's not that expensive. Goes in any deck.
Yeah. Radiant Lotus. Like, okay, what are you gonna do with this most of the time? You're gonna +1, attack with that creature, the next turn -5, you drew 2 cards, you made the creature bigger, you still have a Planeswalker. If they're gonna be attacking it, that means you gain some more life, so that's kind of like a lot of things on the usual case. And then it can do a lot more as well. So, I love it. Radiant Lotus for 6. An artifact that says you can tap it, sacrifice 1 or more artifacts, choose a color, target player adds 3 mana of the chosen color for each artifact sacrificed this way. This is an F. This is one of the easiest Fs I have seen in my career.
F.
Yeah, Scotty, should I give it an F from you as well in my head or?
Oh, I said F already, yeah.
Oh, you said F. Okay, I didn't
F.
see it. I didn't
Yep.
hear that. Hey, we're like just not word to card, single card. If this costs 0, oh, it would be like it would be like better Black Lotus, I guess. Okay. Yeah, if it costs 0, it will be better Black Lotus. Do you play it if it costs 0, Scotty? Do you play like a better Black Lotus in normal limited, non-cube limited? Do you play a better Black
That's an
Lotus?
interesting question.
Huh?
That's an interesting question. I think you could have it would have to have a deck to support it, but normally no.
Yeah. Interesting how how some cards are really good in cube, but they're kind of crappy in non-cube. Let's go to the multicolor uncommons. To see what wizards, come on. To see what